Diamond P Sports presents championship drag racing from the National Hot Rod Association, the Springnationals. Brought to you by Fram, makers of oil, air, and fuel filters, windshield wipers, and Autolite spark plugs and tune-up kits. And by Anheuser-Busch St. Louis, brewers of world-renowned Budweiser. When do you say Budweiser? And by Cam 2 Motor Oil. You know it's tough, and you love it.
David, it's great to be back in the lush green countryside of central Ohio. Today's action is going to include the Pro Comp category. It's the newest in the NHRA lineup, the only one of the sportsman categories that races on a heads-up basis. Tremendously popular with the racers and the fans because of the variety, all heads up. Here you see a dragster, a front-engine machine. There's no supercharger, so it's allowed to use the potent nitromethane fuel. Only without a supercharger or a blower can you use nitro in Pro Comp. Moving along to a supercharged dragster. The class officially called AA alcohol dragster. The racers like to call them AA bads. It's a supercharged motor, but limited to straight alcohol in the fuel tank, no nitro. They use an extra gear in the transmission to make up for the lack of raw horsepower without the nitromethane. This same type of motor, as we see in the AA bad dragster, also in this funny car. Virtually identical, same transmission setup, alcohol again in the tank, but the funny car is allowed to weigh a little less. And the fans really love it when the alcohol dragsters and the alcohol funny cars meet each other on the starting line, heads up in Pro Comp.
Is Dale Hall. A great start for Dale Hall, and this is a close race. And Dale Hall takes the win, upsetting the low qualifier. Hall with his small block Chevrolet-powered front-engine alcohol-burning dragster. You see it right there, just a bit of a head start at the starting line, and that's enough to give him the win. The times for Dale Hall, 6.91 seconds elapsed time. Here at the finish line, you'll see what difference it makes. As they come to the finish line, Dale Hall just a wheel length ahead, getting ready for that head start. Side by side, they leave the line together. And at the finish line, a tremendous race as Dick Titsworth takes the win.
Competition Eliminator is the fastest of all the handicap sportsman categories. You'll be seeing dragsters only on gasoline and non-supercharged, the new Econo funny cars and dragsters, and maybe even a neat little altered roadster like this one.
A Chevy Camaro. This is the car of Dennis Ferrara from Comic, New York. It is a B Econo altered, utilizing one 4-barrel carburetor on the Chevy engine, 2 big 4 barrels on the Dodge Hemi for Don Carlton. A close race. Let's see if Carlton can come from behind. And he does it, just pulling it out at the finish line. Don Carlton, 8.46 seconds.
In the exciting world of NHRA sportsman racing, the modified Eliminator category is just that. Highly modified street-type cars, 31 classes in all. They race on the handicap system based on the national class standard. It makes for rugged competition. This beautiful late model muscle car is typical of the types of machinery found in the upper gas classes. You're allowed to use any motor in any type body. You'll see Ford engines in Chevrolets and vice versa. While this Corvette and other street-type hot rods from the late 50s, early middle 60s are in modified production classes. They must use the original type engine in the stock location, but they can modify it without limitation. Modified Eliminator can get downright exotic. Witness the 76 Porsche Carrera. Hard to believe that a 4-cylinder Volkswagen engine will push it to speeds over 120 miles an hour in 11 seconds. Dave, it's interesting to note going into round 2 of Pro Comp that no particular type of car seems to have an advantage. We have 3 dragsters left, 4 funny cars, and the 1 AA altered remains in competition. Now that our number 1 qualifier was eliminated on the whole shot, that being Tom Ridings of California, the crowd seems to be going with the unusual AA altered of Ron Boggs, and he's the quickest car in the field now going into round 2.
Keith Black racing engine in the funny car. A tremendous race. Hawley drifting close to the center. And at the finish line by inches, it's Ron Boggs in the altered, moving one more step closer to this championship here at the Spring Nationals. A champion in any sport, professional football, baseball, drag racing, he's a champion only as long as he outperforms his fellow competitors. One of drag racing's greatest champions, Gary Beck, 2-time national champ, former world champion, has had his share of problems for what seems to be an eternity. Steve asked Gary, why the slump?
Well, in the constant quest to go quicker, you try and experiment using different engine, clutch, tire, gear ratio ideas. And in the meantime, while you're planning on going faster than 5.6, you forget how to go 5.6. So you got to kind of start all over. You got to go back to school again, and you got to teach yourself how to race again and cut back. It's the trouble we've had in the last few months is I can't put it on one thing. It's been numerous things, but it appears that it's slowly working its way back out.
People always ask, why doesn't he just go back to the same combination that, say, won this race in 74, ran 5 seconds, 2:47? Why don't you?
Well, it's awful hard to do that. We, from 74 to now, the tires are completely different. The tracks are better. We have concrete starting line this time. This is my 3rd car from there. This car has better traction built into it. So we have to automatically build more horsepower. That's not that easy to do.
Gary, all of your many fans, especially, of course, the Canadians, myself for that matter, after this race, we want to read somewhere, Beck is back. Is there a good chance of that?
Well, certainly, this car's always been a team effort, and everybody tries real hard, our sponsors, the crew people, so you keep working on it. You don't get discouraged. You keep plugging at the weak spots, and sooner or later it wins. We won a race a few weeks ago. We won a few rounds now. We're planning on coming back, that's for sure.
Did a tremendous job of driving. The car looked like I wanted to get away from you.
Well, it was all right. It was shaking a little bit, but it was going to be okay. You know, it was carried the wheels. It left extremely hard in the gate, and I could feel the engine just miss a beat, just as the lights was coming, and kaboom! It was a pretty loud explosion.
Just going to finish your weekend, you think?
No, we got one more bullet down in there. We'll bring her out.
Sacrifice another lamb.
No, we got another good engine. The engine has been run for a long time. It's actually the engine we were qualified with at the Cajun Nationals, and so it'll be all right.
Wheels the Ford Mustang II. His competition from Totowa, New Jersey, Frank Iaconio, the classic Ford versus Chevrolet battle, the Monza of Iaconio, the Mustang of Nicholson. Dino Don Nicholson in a close race, 8.78 seconds, 153 miles an hour. The 77 Plymouth Arrow of Don Prudhomme. A close race in the middle of the course. Pickett pulls it out in one of the biggest upsets of the day. Bob Pickett winning funny car Eliminator, 6.22 seconds. Muldowney and Skilton side by side in the middle of the course. Muldowney by less than a car length, winning her 2nd straight Spring Nationals title. Shirley Muldowney, top fuel champion at the Spring Nationals.
In the drag racing is the most innovative of all motorsports. The Best Engineered Award presented at these NHRA national events is really a treasured thing for the racers. There's over 600 cars in this incredibly huge pit area. The choice is a most difficult one. Any category of car is eligible, certainly, for the Best Engineered Award. It's based more on caliber of craftsmanship and innovation, as we discussed. The people at Fram have selected for the Best Engineered Award at this 13th Annual Spring Nationals the 77 Plymouth Arrow of Butch Leal, the California Flash, as he calls himself, from Northridge, California.
a machinist by trade during the week, drag racer on the weekend, against Dale Hall. Hall driving the front-engine Chevy dragster. A great race at the finish as Dale Hall pulls it out in the last few feet. The crew heading down to get the car, head back to the pits. The six-cylinder roadster, this is Joe Williamson, pipe fitter from Louisville, Kentucky. Williamson out first. Carlton once again in the catch-up role. And catch-up he does by about a car length. Don Carlton in competition Eliminator has his work cut out for him as he is pitted against the favorite Buddy Ingersoll from Ziegler, Illinois. And a red light for Paul McCure, giving the win automatically to Buddy Ingersoll. An interesting point, Buddy Ingersoll has had a red light against him in every round of competition today. The head start will be going to Jim Jones. He's got a big lead by virtue of the handicap. Now, can Don Carlton catch him? Let's watch. And Carlton winning Springnationals title made him the crowd favorite. Inching into the staging beams, let's watch. Ron Boggs, the crowd just loving every second of it. Pro Comp Eliminator, 6.77 seconds.
David, like yourself, I've had a tremendous day today. I don't know when I had more fun, but the most important thing is the standing room crowd here at National Trail Raceway had an absolute ball. Many of them still milling around in the pit area, getting an autograph, watching the cars being cleaned up and loaded up. Trend set, you bet. In sportsman categories, the racing was never better. The altered winning, that's only been done once before. The little small block Chevrolet getting into the final. These are things that we're going to see reflected all over the country at NHRA sanctioned drag strips. Sportsman racing certainly has never been healthier than it was here at the 13th Annual Spring Nationals. Dave, back to you.